Hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Well, I thought this video is going to be a little bit different. Now, if you've watched any of our videos or are regular to our channel, and we hope you are, that you would know that already that Sandy and I have done a lot of boondocking well over a year's worth of boondocking. And this past year, going into our third year, we've done things a little bit differently. But by that, I mean, I've taken some jobs that have come along, and they're very short jobs in terms of the length of stay. And it's worked out good for us. It was a good experience. Made some extra money, which was nice. And so this video is about one of those jobs that I took at working the Sugar Beet Harvest up in North Dakota area. And it was a real positive experience. So I just want to explain to you what the whole process and what we did. First off, going way back to the beginning, I had no idea about the Sugar Beet Harvest thing. I learned about it from a friend who also full-time RVs. And he said you make about $2,800 for 10 days work. Well, that sounds pretty good, you know. So I thought, let's give it a try. So he gave me the contact information. I did send an email to the person. That person got right back to me. And that started the process. I had information I had to fill out online. And I was accepted to come and work the Sugar Beet Harvest thing. Initially, I was going to be working on the ground at one of the piling machines, and you don't know what that means, but at the time I didn't either. But basically what you have is you have people collecting excuse me, you have people collecting sugar beets from the machine that's piling them up to take a sample for each truck when they have a ticket to do that. You line the trucks up so that they're in position to dump the sugar beets and then move them ahead so that they can recoup some of the dirt that comes off the machine. The farmers want the dirt back, and the company doesn't want to pay for dirt. So there's that process too. It's really a simple thing. It's easily learnable. It doesn't take any time to learn what to do. It's physically demanding, however, because in as much as you're outside and the temperatures can vary. But it's not like you're standing in a snowstorm, first off, because the way the sugar beet harvest works due to weather greatly affects them. So they won't harvest the sugar beets if it's too hot. They won't harvest the sugar beets if it's raining, because the trucks will just tear the fields up. And they will not harvest the sugar beets if the temperatures are below 32 degrees. They don't want the sugar beets to freeze, and so they'll leave them in the ground. So you're there for, although you only work 10 days, you're there for a month. You have to guarantee that you'll be there for a month, because there's a lot of days you just simply can't work. It's dependent on nature. Now, it's interesting that they have a thing this previous year when I went up there that apparently they didn't have before, called stay pay. And, you know, they hire all these full-time RVers, these people, and we all have wheels, and they don't want you leaving because you're just not working. And you know, that's what you came there for, is the money. So they had stay pay, which they pay you every day that you can't work through no fault of your own, provided you show up for work the day after when they call you back.
And they pay you 4 hours. The stay pay is 4 hours.
Yes, of your regular pay. So we signed up for this thing. They reach out and they touch bases with you via email. Also call. They call me about every month, because I signed up for it in February and of 2021, And so as each month went by, they would just simply call, are you still on board, and all those good things. And of course I was. We had a little change of events as we were heading that way. I got a call from a person I had not been in contact with, a gentleman named Aaron, who works for American Crystal Sugar. Now, initially, I had contacted Employment Express, is who does the hiring for this harvest. And he said that he got my information from Employment Express. And because of some qualifications they saw on my resume, they asked me if I would be a foreman, and a night shift foreman. So I agreed to that. And going back to the money thing, it was a lot more money, and $4,100 total. They paid me $85 a day every day I couldn't work. And so it was a very positive experience. And, you know, again, we were never working in below freezing weather because you can't harvest the sugar beets anyway. It does get cold, and there is a lot of mud and the wind, and you're out in the field directing trucks and that. But it was a good experience, and I definitely would do it again. As a matter of fact, we've signed up for it again, and they, if you complete the sugar beet harvest, they pay you 5% of your total earnings as a bonus. So in December, well after the sugar beet harvest was over, we got another check for around $350 or so, which was very nice. So it was a very positive experience, and good and friendly people to work with. My responsibilities as a foreman, they assigned me to work with a piling site. They have different names for them based on their location. And I worked the Glendon site, which had 2 piling machines. And I was responsible for making sure that the people got their breaks, keeping the dirt away from the machine, operating some heavy equipment, making sure the scale house lady got her break as well. So there's various jobs you can do other than the foreman thing. The scale house, that's a nice job. You're just sitting at a window and waiting for the trucks to come in, and then they drive up on the scales. You weigh them. It produces a ticket. You give it to them, and then after they've emptied their load, when they come back out, they go on the scale again. And now you've weighed them out, so they know the difference in how many pounds of sugar beets they brought in, which is a lot. And so that's a nice job. The people working the ground, of course, around the piling machines have it a little bit tougher. They're out in the elements. There's 2 piling machine operators that operate the piling machines, which are basically just, well, they're not small machines, they're huge, and I think I've got some pictures we'll put in here to show you. But basically, there's 2 entrances on either side of the machine. Semi-trucks pull in there, they lift their trailer and dump the load on either side. Conveyor belts take that up to the main conveyor belt, which runs up and drops onto another one where they're trying to separate out some of the dirt, and they get washed slightly. Then they go on a larger conveyor belt, very long, and they start swinging this back and forth, and they create a pile that is about 100 feet wide, 150 feet wide, and 20 feet high. And they just keep sweeping the arm back and forth, building the pile up. When it gets to the max, the machine actually has a system where it moves back 3 feet, and then you just start sweeping all over again. And this goes on until when you're done, you've created a pile about a quarter of a mile long and 150 feet wide and 20 feet high. It's really something. So overall, a really good experience. And
they are 12-hour shifts, too.
Yes.
They have a day shift and a night shift. It's 12-hour shifts. So there is a possibility that you could be working every day for 10 days.
10 days straight, 12 hours.
That does happen if the weather is right for it. It wasn't for us. We were actually there. We got there September 26th, and we didn't leave until October 22nd. So we're actually there almost a whole month.
Now, I did hear from some other people and that work for American Crystal Sugar and that, and they talked about previous harvests. And apparently the year before that, they wrapped everything up in 10 days. Everybody got there, they worked through 10 days, and bang, it was over. They supply you with a free site, full hookup, and ours was a little bit different. It wasn't really what we were expecting, but it was very doable. And the reason I say that is because instead of being in an RV park, as we assumed we were going to be, we were in the Red River Fairgrounds area. And the upshot of that was we had to share a water connection with our neighbor, which wasn't a problem. They were really nice folks. And we had our electric. But we didn't have a sewer hookup, but they supplied a truck that came by twice a week to empty our tanks, and the fellow knew what he was doing in that. However, the first week we were there, he missed one day, and that was our first experience. So we're waiting for the guy to come, and he didn't come, and so that made things a little anxious for us at the beginning, for the start. But he just missed one day, and it really didn't cause us any problems. And so everything went pretty smoothly after that.
Yeah, we were in Fargo, North Dakota at the Red River Campground. And they have, 8 piling sites there in Fargo?
I'm pretty sure around 8 or so.
8 or 10,
it's really something. And the training that they supplied me was excellent.
You do have orientations. If you want to do a piler operator job, they'll kind of train you on that, see how you do on it. It takes a lot of coordination to do a piler operator job because you got a lot of levers and you have to watch the trucks on both sides and watch how the conveyor belt is coming up against the sugar beets. And
yeah, you do have to learn the equipment or else you can break something and bring everything to a stop by throwing the wrong lever. But again, the training was excellent. I worked at the Moorhead district plant for my training inside running a piling machine. When it came to the skid steer and the front loader that I had to learn how to drive, I had video orientation about the safety issues with it and all that. And then they took me out at the Glendon site, which at the time was not operating. And basically told me, get up in these machines and I want you to spend the entire day just moving this dirt pile from point A to point B and put it back again until you know this machine inside and out and you're comfortable with it. So that was good. I never felt rushed. I felt like I knew what I had to do and when to do it. They even paid me $25 every night for, normally there was a maintenance man that would go around and oil the machines. But there wasn't. And again, it's a big site. So I was using our truck to load the oil cans up in the back of the truck and driving to the piling machines to oil them. So they paid me $25 every night for doing that, and so that was a nice little perk too. Overall, a very good experience, folks, and you might want to just reach out there. If this is your kind of thing. We made $4,100. We left there fat and happy. We stopped, had steak dinner, and then the trailer smelled the money as we were heading south.
And all that's coming up.
Yeah, we'll explain that. But the trailer just smelled the money and said, okay, yeah, put stuff in me. Hurry.
So the Glendon site that Ed was working at actually closed early because for whatever reason, his employees were just dropping like flies. They would not show up at work. So he didn't have enough to run his shift, and the day foreman at the same site also didn't have enough to run his shift. So the Glendon site did close a little earlier than the other ones, but the employees that were left with Ed were given the opportunity to move to another site and keep working. And we found out later from them that they did actually work another additional week. So that worked out really well for them. These folks are really willing to work with you. They're super nice folks.
Yeah, and they offered, if I wanted to work more, I could switch to another site.
But we were freezing and we wanted to get out of there.
I mean, but again, freezing to us is 40 degrees, and we're
North Carolinians. We can't take those temperatures.
So we were out. But yes, very polite people, provided all the personal protection equipment you needed for free.
Yeah, he's got a hard hat and a yellow vest and a couple pairs of gloves, and yeah, they give you all of your equipment.
And you just have to provide warm clothes and boots. You can't work at the site in sneakers, and you don't want to.
No.
You need something warm on your feet, and something that can protect your feet from just the mud and the slop and that, and a pair of sneakers isn't going to do it. You don't necessarily need steel-toed boots, but you do need some good husky boots.
The sugar beets, and we're going to show you a picture of that too. The sugar beets are like this big around. We put one on the scale, it weighed 5 pounds, one sugar beet. And these do occasionally fall off the conveyor belt or out of the truck, and Ed's gotten hit in the head several times by these sugar beets. So it's a good thing that he had his hard hat on.
I didn't get hurt, but when something that size bounces off your helmet, you know it.
So same thing with your feet. If it falls on your feet, you're gonna know it. Those things are huge.
But it was and I learned a lot, and I love doing that stuff. I learned about the different types of sugar that there is. I was amazed that they harvest sugar out of these sugar beets, but that's what they do. And it provides like 25% of all the sugar in the United States. It's amazing.
Yeah, you can look in your supermarket for crystal sugar, and that's where that comes from. It's the sugar beets.
Yeah.
In North Dakota. There is also a section of piling sites on the western part of North Dakota, maybe a little bit into Montana. So there's some sites over there too, but we were in the Fargo, North Dakota area. And they do actually have a sugar beet harvest in Michigan as well, which is a little bit after the one in North Dakota. So some people actually will work the North Dakota sugar beet harvest and then move over to Michigan and do their sugar beet harvest as well.
Yeah. So there's opportunities up there, and if you're hitting the road or thinking of hitting the road, but money's of a concern, and it is to us. We're on a tight budget. It's a great job for a month. You have to stay put for 30 days, but you're going to make at least $2,800. And if you're willing to do some training and move up to operate a machine or something like that, there's a possibility you can make more money. And as Sandy said, you can move on to, after one site's finished, if they have other things going on, you can move to another site. I did stay over long enough to, they asked me if I would help them. They clean the piling machines and, park them where they need to be, where they set for the entire year until the next harvest. And I agreed to do that. Myself and 2 other people, we worked on the machines. It took us one day. So that was nice. Picked up a little bit more money.
And usually it is a couple working. Usually it's the husband and wife working. Like with the day shift foreman, his wife was actually the scale house operator. Yeah. So she got that job. Usually you will be stationed together. Our neighbors were stationed together. They both work the same piling machine. Mm-hmm. That's not guaranteed though. Sometimes you will have to move to another spot and be a little ways away. But like Ed had one couple on his shift that he had to put them, one was on one piling machine and one was on the other, but he did make sure that they were able to take their breaks at the same time. So there's no guarantee that you're going to be side by side.
No. But pets are an issue. Sandy couldn't work the scale house at the Glendon site that I worked at night because we have general, of course. If you watch our channel, you know that.
Yeah, the pets, because it is a food source, pets aren't allowed around the Sugar Beets at all. So he would not have been able to go to work with us.
So but it worked out okay because the amount of money I was making anyway, and it gave Sandy the opportunity, groceries and other errands that you have to do. If I would have been working the day shift, that wouldn't have been happening. So the night shift worked out good. I could come home and rest, and she could go run errands and get things done. So a positive experience, folks, if you're looking like how do you guys run around all over the United States, and especially with the gas and the diesel fuel the way it's going, we're finding it more necessary to supplement our income, and that was a very positive experience. So we'll try and put some links in here so you can contact these folks if you'd like. You can tell them that Ed Gowland sent you, Gowland, and I would get a $100 referral fee.
Yeah, so if you could do that, if you're going to sign up, that would be awesome. We had a ton of questions, even talking to our friend and trying to ask him questions and everything that were of concern to us. We still had a ton of questions when we got there and we're starting the process. So we're hoping that we've answered all of your questions. If you have more questions that we haven't answered, definitely leave a comment down below, and we'll get right back to you on that, because we're really trying to give you all the information that we can give you so that you can make a decision whether or not you want to do this.
Yeah, so it was a good experience, and we've got some other, I guess we'll be doing some similar videos about other jobs that I've taken on that are going to work out good for us, or have, and that's the nitty-gritty of it. If you're full-time RVing or thinking of full-time RVing, but you got to supplement your income, the Sugar Beet Harvest is definitely at the top of my list. One, because of the money, and two, you're only committed for 30 days.
And it was fairly easy work.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. So, you can still take off after a month, and while you were there, hey, watch TV on your days off, full hookups. It wasn't bad. Good experience. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and look at the links below. If this has been helpful to you, please consider giving it a like. And if you haven't checked out our other videos, if this is the first one you've tripped across, please consider checking out our previous videos. I hope that you'll find that we try and always be helpful and give everybody as best information as we can give. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.